So we need ways to process, right? So this has been a trauma, a collective trauma. And the idea of the walk was to help us process what we've been through. So the pathway that you walk begins in gratitude. So what are the things that have sustained you through this last year? And then from there, the second station asks you to focus on grief and what has been lost. The third station in Phoenix at Blue Heron Park is about growth. What are you being asked to embody or to learn from this time? And the last station is about giving. Like, what are you being asked to offer to the community? So the idea was art helps us process things, and the walk, moving, doing something helps us process things. And in a traumatizing and disconnecting time, we thought this might help people in a COVID-safe way process what we've experienced.
And sound. This is love. As the record plays. Love.
Hi there, folks. I'm Keegan Van Hook, and this is Us As We Are. Today, we're on the Bear Creek Greenway bike path, where we're going to check out the Almeda Fire Commemorative Walk, which has been set up along the 8-mile stretch primarily affected by the Almeda Fire. All right, here we are with the organizers of this Almeda Fire Commemorative Walk. How about you guys first just start by introducing yourselves and explaining what this Almeda Fire Walk is all about?
Okay, my name is Jocksana. I'm one of the organizers, and
My name is Mark Iaconelli. I'm with the Hearth. Yep, one of the organizers.
Sweet. So tell me a bit about what this Almeda Fire Walk is all about.
so it originally started about 4 months ago. Erika, Teresa, Nidia, and myself had come together to do a 2-day event for commemoration of the Almeda Fire. We wanted it to be a community event, and we wanted it to incorporate all the cities that were affected. So we had planned, like I said, a 2-day event, which was going to be Saturday and Sunday, September 11th and 12th. It was going to start at El Tapatío and end all the way where La Clinica is. And we were going to have, we had Erika and Nidia and myself and Teresa, we had reached out to many nonprofit organizations, many other organizations that were going to provide food, they were going to provide music, we had like it was going to be a big community-led event. But 3 weeks ago, because of the COVID numbers, us four met and we just decided that it was too much of a risk to gather in such a large numbers, because we were getting a lot of positive feedback, a lot of support from community, and we knew that this event was actually going to be bigger than what we had hoped for, which was good. But at the same time, we knew that it wasn't safe, and it was already going to be a difficult day, with a lot of emotions. And we just felt that putting our families at risk, our friends, our neighbors who are already still struggling, was not something that we wanted to do. So we decided to cancel the event. And we sat with a little bit of sourness, thinking this was something that our hearts needed to heal. I myself lost my house, and I was looking forward to this event. So when we decided to cancel it, it was really, really sad. And then 2 days later, Mark reached out to us and said, we can still make this happen. And it was really, once Mark reached out to us and gave us that little push, that little momentum that we needed, we just got back on and we decided to do the same walk. It's just not making it available where people can come at their own time, walk at their own pace, drive to different locations. Of course, it's not like the big social gathering that we had planned for, but it's still giving people the opportunity to walk through the same path that the fire took.
Yeah, well, you guys seemingly did a great job kind of turning it around really quick. Can you tell me about the walk? Where does it go, and what are the sort of 4 stations that people stop at for this whole thing?
So it's, go ahead.
Yeah, well, so we need ways to process, right? So this has been a trauma, a collective trauma. And the idea of the walk was to help us process what we've been through. So there's 4 basic stations, and they go through the 4 communities that experienced the fire. It starts in Ashland, goes to Talent, then Phoenix, and ends in Medford. And the pathway that you walk, it begins in gratitude. So what are the things that have sustained you through this last year? What are the things that give you life? How have you stayed connected? Sort of so that grounding experience of where's the love and the life that can sort of keep me going here. And then from there, the second station asks you to focus on grief and what has been lost. And along each of these stations, there are audio meditations. Use a QR code. It sends you to a website. The meditations are in Spanish and English so that you can spend a little time reflecting on these questions.
Welcome. You are invited to participate in this guided meditation to help process this past year.
We also have sort of a ritual or activity that you can do. You take a rock here, a stone that comes up from Bear Creek. These stones have words on them that might represent what has sustained you. Or you can write your own. We have art supplies here. And you take that with you to the next station where there are ashes and actual pieces of wood from the fire. You put ashes on that stone to represent what's lost. The third station in Phoenix at Blue Heron Park is about growth. What are you being asked to embody or to learn from this time? And the last station is about giving. Like, what are you being asked to offer to the community? And at that station, you leave your stone, you pick up somebody else from the community and take it with you. So the idea was art helps us process things, and the walk, moving, doing something helps us process things. And in a traumatizing and disconnecting time, we thought this might help people in a COVID-safe way process what we've experienced.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about the art. Who made like the different graphics that you see, the different artwork, and then who came up with some of the writing? Tell me a little bit about how that was all put together.
So Erika Ledesma actually did all the artwork. She did the walk herself on Sunday, I believe, August 1st, because we wanted to decide we wanted to figure out how long it was going to take to do this walk. At that time, we were still planning on doing the big community walk. So she did the walk on her own, with her sister and her niece. And she said that throughout the walk, she was just inspired. And the next day, she started drawing and came up with drawing all the graphics for art for the displays. And Nidia did a lot of the writing. I did a lot of the translating and the recordings in Spanish. So, I mean, a lot of the ideas were already kind of in motion for the 2-day event that we had been planning for the past 4 months. But it kind of just, we had our 3-4 days of like, oh, this is not going to happen. We're just going to let it all go. And then again, when Mark called us, it was that hope that like, oh, yes, we can still do this. So yeah, we just picked up where we were at. Nidia had already started a lot of the writing stuff that we had, like packets for the walkers, we had packets for volunteers, or we were already working on those packets. So a lot of that stuff, we just transferred it into what the website looks like now. And I pretty much translated all the stuff that's on the website.
So Erika Ledesma and myself, we work together in an organization called the Hearth, and Jocksana has worked with us in that organization as well. And we use story and personal experiences to try to build community. So we already had that relationship, and Jocksana, since the fire, we had worked together on a compassionate listening team and trying to put programs in the schools and things that help people share their experiences through story. So we already had these relationships, and so it was very easy for us to bring in our operations director, Susanna Cole, and together start to do this work. Yeah. And one of the things, that came out of this fire that we've been learning, of course, is that this community's been highly segregated according to racial lines, Spanish and English-speaking communities. And one of the things, and I remember Jocksana saying to us when we first met after the fires was, we do things in twos now. One Spanish, one English speaker, so we can start representing the community we want to be. We're a long ways from it, but we can start presenting what that community. So this whole walk is bilingual. It's been a partnership between English and Spanish speakers, and this is the way we need to start moving forward. Yeah. I get that right?
Yeah. I remember that. I've done I lost my house in the fire, and I had gone to various meetings for different organizations, and I noticed that there was that segregation. If if you're a Spanish speaker, there's help for you over there. If you're an English speaker, there's help for you over there. And I mean, I lived in Talent in the home that burned for 17 years, and for me, my neighbors were not like, Renee, who's white, and Jose, who's Mexican. They were my neighbors. They were my friends. They were like families, When my kids were sick, I went to Renee or Jose. It didn't matter, what language they spoke. So I really was heartbroken to see that division. And when Mark reached out to me to be part of the compassionate listening team, I was like, okay, like I hear everything that you're saying, but this is what I want out of it. Like, I don't want division. If I'm gonna work with you, I'm gonna work with you, but I want English and Spanish and no division. And I can't believe like how easy, like he's like, okay, we'll do that. And everything I've been doing has been English and Spanish, even my rocks.
Well, so you mentioned a few times that you lost your house in the Almeda Fire. Do you want to tell that story at all?
I mean, what's there to tell? I mean, I live just a couple blocks down that way. I was home the day of the fire, so I happened to be home, and I had just graduated from SOU in June, so I was signed up for the Ashland alerts. So that's how I found out about the fire, because I forgot that I was even signed up for the Ashland alerts. I worked at SOU and I went to school at SOU, so I was always in Ashland. So I was signed up for Ashland alerts in case there was ever an emergency while I was in Ashland. So that alert that came in September, I forgot that I was even signed up for those alerts. And I remember it was about 11 a.m. It said that there was a fire in Ashland. And if I remember correctly, it did, the text said Almeda, but I didn't know where that was at. I'm only familiar with like SOU campus and the streets around there. And I didn't think anything of it, like other than, oh crap, there's a fire, but I wasn't like concerned right away. But I could hear the sirens. I mean, I lived just down the street, so I could hear the sirens on Highway 99. And when I say like 3 or 4 minutes later, there was a second text that said evacuation in progress. And when that text came, I was like, oh, that's not good. So I went outside and I noticed that my two neighbors were across. The neighbors that live in front of me were in their porch and they were looking towards Ashland. And I asked them, they told me, oh, look, there's a fire, there's smoke. And I crossed the street towards them and I could see the smoke. And I told them there's a fire and they're evacuating. Ashland is evacuating. But we could hear the sirens. So my neighbors were like, oh, it's not a big deal. We can, they're going to take care of this. It's not a big deal. But that day was so windy. I remember instinctively thinking, this is not good. This wind is not good at all. And I don't drive. I was home alone with my kids. So I called my husband who works in Medford and I told him that there was a fire and I just had a bad feeling about it. I told him to come pick us up. And he did. He got home within 20 minutes. Luckily, he was one of the last cars to be allowed back in. They started blocking the roads. And he said that at first he thought I was kind of exaggerating. But, he heard my panic, so he decided to leave work. And as he got closer to Phoenix and getting closer to Talent, he knew that, it wasn't good. He could see the smoke and he could see the traffic from Ashland already heading, evacuating. All the people who were evacuating from Ashland, you could see that traffic going north. And my husband was coming south to come pick us up. So he knew that it wasn't good. While me and my kids waited for my husband to pick us up, we were going door to door telling all our neighbors that they needed to evacuate. And most of them were like, what are you talking about? It's fine. It's not a big deal. And, being bilingual, me and my daughter were going to everybody's doors, whether they spoke English or Spanish. We were telling them to evacuate in whatever language they spoke. But most of our neighbors didn't think that it was a big deal. They thought that it was just a little grass fire and that was going to be okay. But, as soon as within 10-15 minutes we could start seeing how bad it was getting. I mean, I have pictures of that day as we were evacuating, and I mean, I kind of had the hope that we were going to come back home, but deep inside I didn't think we would. And until recently, I mean, we were stuck in the traffic here for a little bit, and not too long ago my daughter said that she thought we weren't going to make it out. She thought that we were going to die in the car because we weren't moving fast at all. We could have just gotten off the car and walked and we would have been moving faster.
So when did you find out that your home had actually burned down?
The next day, September 9th. I actually had a lot of, because the media, there was no real evacuation notice. I mean, I got a notice from Ashland, but there was never an evacuation notice for Talent or Phoenix. By the time the fire hit Phoenix and Talent, there was, emergency personnel in the speakers saying, you have to leave, but that was all in English. Spanish speakers did not understand that, and those who did know that there was something kind of going on, they were afraid to go outside because, there's a fear for cops, there's a fear of authorities. So many people who didn't know what was going on were afraid to go look outside. I mean, I've heard stories of kids, 12, 13-year-olds, picking up their cars and taking people out. I've heard so many stories because I went to to the expo. I went to El Tapatío, and people would come up to me and tell me their stories of their kids learning how to drive on September 8th, or kids going out on the street and getting picked up by trucks. Farm workers who just picked up kids in the back of their trucks because it was a Tuesday and it was the first day of school. Parents were working. Parents who were trying to get home and couldn't get to their kids to their house because traffic was all blocked.
My last major question kind of pertains to the Hearth. Can you guys tell me a little bit about what the Hearth is and what it does, just generally?
Yeah, so the Hearth trusts in personal stories to build community, to mobilize people for good. We trust in stories to help in healing. When we share stories, we're actually sharing our experiences, just like Jocksana. She's inviting us to feel what she felt and to understand a little more deeply what she's been through. And so the story creates relationships. So we use story to help communities heal, to help people mobilize, to build relationships. And this is one way we're doing that here locally. Yeah.
All right, final major question. Where can people go to find more information about this, and how long do people have to come and check all this out?
So almedawalk.com is where they can go. So the nice thing about this walk is, I guess you can see it's every section, every one of the 4 sections is available. You can get through every section. There's a parking lot. But you can also start from the beginning and bike or walk or jog or do however you want to skate. You want to do whatever you want. You can do it either way. But if you can't drive to this location, if you can't walk due to physical abilities, then you can also access the website, and every one of the 4 locations, they're all in the website where you can access each of the activities on the website, and they're all in English and Spanish. So, this is really accessible, whether you want to do it in person, whether you want to do it in your own home. Even if you want to go to the site where your home was and you lost your home, and that's where you want to experience your gratitude and your grief and your giving, like if you want to experience all those 4 elements, I think it'd be cool to do it if that's something that people feel strong enough to do, then any location. You can do it in your home. You can come and walk over here. You can drive to any one of those 4 stations. The nice thing about doing it in person, whether you're walking, biking, jogging, is that along the way there's additional little QR codes for additional activities. But all those activities are accessible on the website. You just don't see them in the order that they're here, that they're meant to be shown over here.
Yeah, and so this is a time of disconnection, right? It's not only traumatizing to people personally, where you got disconnected from your sense of safety, or you've been traumatized and there's pain there that you don't really want to feel, but it's also been disconnecting in terms of the community, and in some ways really revealing the disconnections that live here. So healing is about reconnecting, and all of these processes, whether the meditations that Jocksana led, or journals to write in, or the stones that people did, is trying to heal that trauma both within ourselves and within the community, because resiliency is relationship. The stronger relationships we have to ourselves, to the land, to others, the stronger we can withstand these kinds of disasters and these kinds of traumas. And so these are little processes to just help you along that way.
Oh, and it just occurred to me to ask, being as how you guys had to kind of quickly change your plans because of COVID this year, do you guys think you might try the original plan that you were going to do for this walk next year? Any idea about that?
We've had people reach out to us and say that they're still in full support of it happening next year. So I think it'd be nice to do it next year. I don't know if I would be up to it. I feel like I've done a lot in the last year, and I've probably burned out. I've done more than I need to learn how to say no when I'm asked to do things, because my heart is there. I want to help people, but I think that I've neglected self-care a lot. So if it happens next year, I don't know if I'd be a part of that.
Jocksana is a treasure in this community, and she has an enormous heart. Even in the midst of her own tragedy, she's given a lot. And some of the other women also are related to folks who have really suffered. And so hopefully next year we can all get behind and have a lot more people participate in putting something together, because this healing needs to spread throughout the community, and we need to help those who've been on the front lines of the healing process as well as the front lines of the suffering. We got to be more connected, and that's the hope in the future. Yeah.
All right, Mark and Jocksana, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for setting all this up. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
That's going to do it for this episode. I'm Keegan Van Hook, and this is Us As We Are.
Thank you to our major Patreon supporters: Adam, Alex Zendejas, Amy E. Van Hook, Daniel Van Hook, Elizabeth Austin, Little Number 5, Lucas L. Bankson, Robin Jossie, and T. Langdon.
If you would like to help support this show, please consider becoming a contributing member on Patreon at patreon.com/SailorBoyMedia, or send us a one-time donation at paypal.me/SailorBoyMedia. Additionally, we're still producing short television packages of Us As We Are in partnership with Southern Oregon PBS. To check those out, visit sopbs.org/usasweare. For any other information, or to contact us, go to sailorboymedia.com.